This is Badir McCleary, and welcome to the Reality Talks podcast. On Reality Talks, we speak with working artists and arts professionals on navigating the art world. Through introspective conversation, our guests provide knowledge on the art market, public projects, and the studio and artistic process. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Reality Talks podcast. I have a super special guest tonight, Vanessa Rivera, Inglewood's own Vanessa Rivera. Just to give you a quick little background before she does, she's an amazing painter, an amazing hard worker, and I've known her for just a while. I feel like I've seen her grown up in this art world, and I'm happy to have her. Thanks, Vanessa, for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So let's first give folks a background on who Vanessa Rivera is. Like, tell them about what made you just go crazy and join the art world.
Well, I think it was inevitable. I tried to do everything else, but I was just led to it, really. It happened, like most artists, something tragic happens, or just anybody in life that just kind of leads you into your passion and your direction. Mm-hmm. So the first thing was my dad passed away, and I was in a very toxic relationship, and they both ended around the same time. So I felt like
that had to be tough.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I felt like I had nothing, So I had to figure out what was gonna make me happy again. And my brother is also an artist.
Oh yeah! Shout out to your bro. He's a cool dude, man.
Lex Lumens.
Lex Looms.
He used to sell bikes.
Wait. What kind of bikes?
You know those fixer bikes? The
ones with the motor on them?
No.
Because that's the LA special.
With the thin wheels.
No.
And they used to be custom, so he used to paint them. And that's kind of how he started.
Oh, so he was a hustler.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
From
Okay.
He used to be selling dollar sandwiches for $2 at school.
Hustler. Buy for one, sell for two. That's the American way. Straight up.
Right. So he had a bunch of art supplies, and I was just using his stuff.
Okay.
Then I just kept painting more for self-care and just for healing. Really.
So did your parents paint at all, or did they have?
No.
They didn't have no art in the house or anything like that. So where do you think your creative side came from for your brother?
I have no idea. We both have no idea, because my mom she's a social worker, and she's very plans things. She is not. She needs security, for sure.
No, I feel that.
And my dad was an electrician, so he was more on mathematical, but he was a little creative. He was into music though. He was a drummer and a dancer and stuff.
So that's art, in a sense, because he's seeing what you see visually, he hears audibly. You know what I mean? So that's you in a sense that's passed on to creative talent. So you can't say it ain't come from nowhere. So you got it honest.
If it's anywhere, it's from there.
It's from there, exactly. So you got it honest.
Yeah.
You got it honest. So
it's from there.
Being so young, when's the first time you really understood that, hey, this is an art piece or someone created this and I like it visually?
It didn't happen till I was in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
And what piece was it?
It was Basquiat.
Which one?
And it wasn't even something I saw in person.
Okay.
I was going to community college, and I was taking an art history class or something like that. And they played the Basquiat, the documentary.
Which one? Downtown 81 or the Radiant Child? Radiant Child.
The
Okay.
Radiant Child.
Okay.
And I was so intrigued by his life. And just the way that he painted too, because even the kids I teach now, they think that art is supposed to be something that's you have to be very skilled. And it's good to be skilled, but it doesn't you don't necessarily have to be skilled to be an artist, Yeah,
I mean, there has to be some, I guess, case of the randomness when it comes to art, because, the creativity sometimes is not structured. Sometimes you're not in your environment every time to create, or sometimes you don't have the right materials, but should that stop you from creating? I mean, I'm sure that's, you already know that as an artist, but, with those kids, how do you implement that? First of all, before we get into that, tell us about your, stuff with the kids. You do great work in the community with the kids. So give us a, intro to that first. Let everybody know.
Okay, so I'll kind of like transition it and how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to community college, went to USC, tried to do some, I was going to do psychology, literally everything else, because everybody was telling me art doesn't make money. What kind of job are you going to get? Blah, blah, blah. Somehow I tried to do animation, didn't get in. Thank God, because I really wanted to do art. So I did art.
Well, animation is art.
Yeah, it is, but it's different.
Okay.
It's
so you wanted fine art.
Yeah, I wanted to paint.
Got you.
But I ended up doing graphic design. I got out of college and I got a job as a graphic designer for. It was a pretty cool company. They did like special effects, makeup, and stuff for movies. I hated being in an office and I hated people yelling at me.
Wait, they were yelling?
Yeah, our boss was crazy. She was like wild. She was yelling at everybody like she was our mom. So I was like, yeah, I'm out. 6 months. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. And that's when I decided. I was like, I'm going to be an artist.
I know that's right.
And then, and I had this idea from before because, like I said, I didn't know about art as a profession until my 20s. So I always felt like there was something missing in my upbringing because I never got to actually explore my passion. And I felt like it just wasn't accessible to me in my community.
Did you never, like, no museums, no nothing?
I had never been to, I've been to the Getty when I was probably, like, in elementary school. But
like a field trip?
Yeah. That's the only museum I had ever been to up until, like, 1920.
That's how I actually got started with going with museums. And I talk about that on other stuff, too. Like, field trips, school trips, being able to just do something different than sit in a classroom and being able to be exposed to all of these works by people that, for the most part, you think are dead. Because I had no idea. I mean, I know people are tired of hearing me say this, but, I had no idea as a youngin' that you could be living and be in a museum.
Right.
Like, it just seemed impossible. It just seemed like this is somebody's old shit that they gathered up. Like a lot of people died and they're just putting this up because they got a bunch of money. I didn't really understand the value of it. So I'm guessing like the value of that, like you said, 1920. So as a kid then, what did you think of the museum?
For the Getty, which is the only museum, I thought it was huge and it was like confusing to me. And it was also the stuff that we saw, from what I remember, was very like realistic, like Renaissance type art. So I didn't have an idea of anything outside of that as art.
Okay.
So it's kind of like how the kids I teach think you have to be super skilled and have to be painting realistic stuff, and it has to look exactly how it does in real life. Interesting. That was my idea of art.
Interesting. So so as we transition on to, not transition, but keep going into the story about the kids, do you think before you actually, started working with them that you knew you were going to go in that direction after you left work? So how did you prep how did you prep yourself from saying, you know what, F this boss, I ain't doing this no more, to, you know what, I'm going to take control of my own artistic mind and career and not only do it for myself, but do something for others?
Well, my idea the whole time, because I wrote about the program I was going to start in my personal statement to get into USC.
Nice. Okay.
So I kind of already had the vision,
Nice.
But I thought that I was this was my plan. I was going to be an artist, make a lot of money.
Of course, right? Because that's what happens.
Right. And then I was going to fund the program. Okay. Because it was going to be a nonprofit originally. But what ended up happening is I left the job. I saved up a bunch of money so I could have some type of cushion and I wouldn't have to go back.
I feel that.
It was interesting because that's the moment that I quit, was the moment that I actually started doing the art that I'm doing now. It was like, that was the block, and then I got rid of it, and then it was like, okay, this is what's gonna get you to your next level. Literally the same month. So that year, eventually I was like, I'm just tired of waiting to start this program. Like, I need to do it. So I started doing small workshops. I started meeting people through the workshops. Like, the kids would have to pay to come, you know, like classes, but I really wanted to do them for free.
Yeah. Yep.
So I met some teachers. The teachers got me into the school. People started seeing that I was doing it at the schools.
For real. Yeah.
And then other programs started hitting me up, and then companies started hitting me up, and then now it's like a whole thing. Now we do all types of stuff. Like, we do after school programs. I have a whole team.
That's
like
awesome.
10 people, 10 plus people now. Yeah. We do after school programs. We do community events. We do school events, like self-care painting. Yeah. We're about to open up a center. Yeah.
Congrats.
Like
Congrats.
A whole studio.
That's all that.
The next year. Like, it's not set in stone just yet, but
it's going to happen.
Opportunities.
No,
like,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You got to own that. It's going to happen. I mean, you've
for
already
sure.
done it, you know, up to this point. So, you know, don't stop with the belief then. You know what I mean? No, it's going to happen. So, with having the kids, having this vision, how does this all tie into you as an artist?
It's really interesting because at first I wanted to keep them separate. I wanted to be just an artist, and then also my program just be a program and not even be linked to it fully. But now it's completely linked. And I feel like my art is more of an introspection, and I have to go deep within myself. And with the kids, I have to go outside of myself. Like, it's completely not about me. It's all about them. It's about, like, getting them to open up and getting them to, just giving them ideas or feedback or whatever. But it's absolutely not about me. It's selfless and selfish at the same time.
Yep.
Because everything I tell them, like, if I'm not doing it, then I feel like I'm not being true to who I am to them, you know? So when I question myself and I'm telling my students, like, you have to be confident in your art. Like, it doesn't matter. You just need to know who you are as an artist, and you need to be confident in whatever you make. And I'm questioning myself, then I have to go back to what I'm telling them. Yeah. So it helps me.
Seeing the museums as a kid, the museum as a kid, have you started to implement the museum visiting with the kids? Yeah. How are they, responding to it?
So we went to the Broad. And that's my favorite.
Nice.
Right now in LA.
Nice.
Because they have everything that I teach them about. And they were so excited, and they were so inspired too. Yeah. I actually took a few of my students to this gallery opening yesterday.
Nice.
Which I was really happy about, because I keep telling them it doesn't have to be realistic. Yeah. It can be anything, And those pieces in the show were like collage.
Yeah.
Or like abstract. Or like abstract portraiture, things like that, and I could see, like, they were talking to me about it, and they're like, "Wow, I'm getting so much more confidence in my own art right now," because they go so hard on themselves, like.
So again, now flip it. Do you visit museums more, and how does that make you feel now that you're bringing? Because again, like we just talked about, having those things relay back onto yourself as the artist. When you visit museums now or go to gallery shows now, how does the art you see make you feel now that you're in the mix?
I never even knew art was a career. Yeah. That people actually did this for a living. I mean, for me, I felt like when I see them go through that, it feels like me, like in that moment, because it's kind of confusing, It's confusing because you only really, used to just learn about the masters. And seeing that it didn't have to, like Basquiat, like when I saw that documentary, that it wasn't what I thought. I had to completely shift my perspective and what I thought art was. But now going to museums as a teacher, teaching them, I feel like I have to be more knowledgeable. Yeah.
So do you feel like you're getting more of your knowledge now from the books or from the experience of visiting and going and experiencing and actually doing, with actually having the paintings, creating, having to, reach deadlines as an artist, reach deadlines as a teacher? How do you see that, all intertwined, doing its thing?
Yeah, all of it. All of it. Because it's all part of it, right? It's all part of teaching them. And I think that the program, Artsy Kids, has forced me to level up. Because I feel like I can't tell them, oh, you can do this if I'm not doing it. Or if I'm not trying to do it. Like, I can't give up, because then I'm giving up on them at the same time.
Yes.
So
I feel that.
It makes me go extra hard.
I feel that. So how do they feel about your work?
When I do show it to them, they're like, Miss, this is amazing. You're so good. You're gonna be famous.
So have you started to explain to them like the real art world, like the market, because them seeing that, you can be an artist with a career now, you can be in a gallery, you can actually make money. I mean, not only are they seeing that in the shows, I'm pretty sure they see it on social media, they see it on TV, with the auction records they hear Basquiat going for hundreds of millions, so everyone thinks that, that's a possibility.
Well, they don't, because they don't know about any of it. Some of them have never heard of Basquiat. They might know Frida, maybe, which is crazy, because you would think the whole world knows Frida and Basquiat. But see, they're like, you would think that people that are interested in art would know, right? Yeah. They're interested in art. They don't know anything. So it's like I'm introducing them to even that. Like I'm introducing them. They don't even know what an auction is. Like they don't know what anything, like any of this is. So everything is super fresh. So I slowly tried to show them that there is an opportunity. But I also have to keep it real with them too.
Please do.
Yeah. Because I can't just have them out there, and especially because they're coming from inner city communities. Like they have to work extra hard. They don't have those connections. Like I didn't have those connections. I had to go out and go to every show to meet people. That's how I met you.
Yeah, exactly. So now that actually is a perfect segue into my next question, is what actually goes on, in the living artist's life? Like people live totally differently. I mean, we live in a big city. I mean, we're stuck in traffic all the time. People have rents that are jumping out all over the place. The prices of everything are jumping. How are you managing your career, the kids, and all that in this major city? How tough or how easy is it to be an artist in the city?
Man, it's hard, but and it's hard to balance, That's the thing. Like, honestly, my dream is to go live in the forest and just paint. That's my dream. I feel that. At this point, but I also want to create this program that lives beyond me. So I'm like hustling to do that, but I'm also hustling to create my own art and have people see it and like make money off of it, but which really honestly at this point is not even one of my bigger concerns, because somehow the program turned out to be what what ended up supporting me as an artist too. So do you find that easier to make work because that's such a load off your shoulders? Yeah, for sure. And I'm that type of person that needs to know, like, my rent is gonna be paid on the first. Like I have to have.
Oh yeah.
I have to have a home.
Yeah, I feel you. You know,
I just need that.
I feel that. No, I totally understand. So, like, how has going to exhibitions, you know, meeting gallery owners and things like that, how's that changed your approach? Do you feel it's more about the connections or the work in LA, or a mixture of both?
I think it's both, but there's time I've focused on each one at different times. Like for a while I was really focused on making connections, and every weekend I was at a show, and I was always by myself because I felt like it was easier for me to network that way. Yeah. So I purposely would make myself super uncomfortable and go by myself and meet people. Now I'm more focused on my work because I feel like I have this urge to level up. And I'm surrounded by people that are also amazing, that are also inspiring me, that have hit those levels, you know? So it's like, I can go make the connections all day, but if I don't have the product, I won't be ready.
That's
so I
true.
need to be ready.
That's
and
true.
I feel like right now that's what I'm focused on, is just being prepared for those opportunities when they do come. And I feel like I've made a good amount of connections for right now. For where I'm at right now.
So speaking of the process, the phase one of the process, you just had an art show recently, and sorry I couldn't make it. I was on the East Coast doing just a whole bunch of other stuff, but I made sure I checked on it. It looked amazing.
Thank you.
Just completely amazing. How did that solo show enhance your practice? How did it, what was the process like going into it? Because I'm sure it was grueling. Was that your first solo show?
No, that was I want to say my third.
Okay, so it wasn't like the panic of the first one, making sure everything is good. So what changed about this one as opposed to the others?
This one was creating the work, like in the process was very free for me. Like I gave myself an extreme amount of freedom. Okay. It was called What Color Was Your Day? And it was just me for a whole year. I just painted how I felt. And I just made a lot of work. Like every time I felt anything that was intense, whether it was good, it was a quote unquote good emotion, or one that wasn't so pleasant, I would go and I would create something out of it. And I focused on colors. Did
you have specific colors for the mood?
Yes.
So were there certain colors over the year that you realized you painted more than others?
It transitioned. And the way that the show was set up, it transitioned the whole show. So it went from pinks and golds to blues.
So blues obviously being the blues?
Yeah, kind of.
Or is it flipped?
No, yeah, you're right. Because the pinks, it just had a more a happier feeling. And one of the pinks, though, it was mostly pink but a little bit of blue. It was called Rain on My Parade. And it was just a moment where everything feels everything on the outside is good and it feels like it's supposed to be good, but there's something inside that just doesn't feel right. You just want to cry and you don't know why.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all had those moments before.
So yeah, it just transitioned from pink to blue. But it just happened that way because I wasn't trying to curate the work,
Wow, that's interesting. So was it one of those things where it's you had a certain piece for each month, or was it did you go real tedious and do it day by day?
No, not every day.
Oh,
I would
I was going to say, because that would be, first of all, how would you fit everything in there? Because that's 365 works. Hanging the show would probably be a pain.
Yeah.
So now, can you please give us some insight to your creativity?
Sure. It was more I think of it more like seasons, Okay. I was in the motion usually for a little bit of time, which gave me a little bit of time to work on it if I needed to change anything.
Interesting.
But it was more about just allowing I was creating a lot of work. I was creating a lot of work on canvas, a lot of work on paper. So it was whatever I felt. And then I chose which ones I wanted to show.
Okay.
So I narrowed it down. But it was more about me releasing anything that felt extreme to the point where I felt like I usually get these urges when I feel like I am going to explode. And I need to make something. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. And with that one, I went completely abstract, which wasn't what I was doing before.
Was that just the energy coming out? Just like you said, you were free. Do you think the abstract side of your process or your practice allows for you to be free, to where it's like, you know, you're not trying to please nobody.
Yep.
You just out there like, you know what, whatever comes out just comes out. I don't know if, like, you know, if the portraiture or the figure is creating a structure around yourself, you know, if that makes sense, you know.
Well, yeah, you are. It's about the process, right? Like the process when I'm painting a figure, I have to be, there's a certain way that I want it to look. So I have to stay kind of within the lines in a way versus going completely abstract. And I was frustrated, and I was like, it was a dry year. It was so dry. It was dry even before that. And I was like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm just gonna do what I feel, and
that's when a breakthrough happens.
Yes,
you know,
I'm just gonna
like,
be an artist.
Yeah.
I was just tired, and you know, it was a transition period, too.
So a lot of the stuff, like you talk about the artwork and relates to your feelings, and the titles actually match because, you know, you saying it was a dry year, but you had the artwork Rain on My Parade. So how do those two things match? You know what I mean? Because it's like, was the dry year raining on your parade? Like, explain that a little bit, because that's interesting, because there's a duality, you know, in that feeling.
It was a dry year, but it was abundant for my process.
Okay.
So I took it more like, there's a time for you to not have anything going on the outside, so you can focus on being ready when it does come, you know? It's like that preparation time. Like, preparation is super important.
So now that brings me another question. How did you recognize that in yourself? How did you recognize that was happening? Because not a lot of people can recognize that in themselves. They'd be like, you know what? Shit ain't happening right now. Like, I got to do some extra shit that's probably going to take me away from my practice. How did you decide that this is the time where I just need to step back, focus on becoming better?
I think I'm just like a very positive, like, I try to be positive in any situation that I'm in. So I always try to find the good in it. And that's what I found. And it kept me going.
I feel that.
I just try to look at it as like, not focus on that exact moment in time, but look at it as the bigger picture, you know, and like what this moment means to my bigger picture.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, how did this exhibition give you an outlook on your mood?
Well, I'm trying to do more of that, because I feel like right now I gravitate. There's certain times I gravitate to certain colors, and it's like, for a while maybe I'm like pink, and then I've had moments where I'm blue, like, or purples and things like that. But it almost sometimes it feels like I'm putting myself in a box, because I know those colors work, you know? I like how those colors look. So, like, I have to flow a little more.
But it's showing the intent of, or maybe even a misrepresentation of mood, because you're grabbing certain colors, you know, just subconsciously, and maybe you're in a good mood to grab a blue, or maybe you're in a bad mood to grab a pink. So it's like, I'm almost seeing like a clash, but which is good, because it's like, sometimes it seems as if your hands may do something against what your mind is telling you to do. You know what I mean? Like you say, sometimes you come in and you gravitate to a color. You might think at, like, you with the kids all day, you working, and you say, oh, you know, such and such used that blue. I might want to go home and try that blue on something, or try this red on something. But then as soon as you get home, you go right to a pink. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, how does that play into your practice?
Well, it is a clash. And I think it's also about, once you've built up, you know, you search for your style for so long, right? And then you find it, and then you are afraid to do something different, which is what I did with What Color Was Your Day. I wanted to just do something different, but I was afraid for a while, like, how are people going to receive this? I've been doing a figure. So it's a mixture of all of that, of my brain telling me, oh, maybe you should try something different, but also me gravitating naturally, subconsciously to the pinks and being like, but this works, you know? So it's a huge battle.
Now, again, we go back to being free.
Yeah.
So do you think that having gallery shows and things like that, that structure is not allowing you to be as free as you want to be as an artist? Because, again, the brain is telling you a gallery show looks like this. An art piece at a major museum looks like this. So you're trying to create works that fit with these certain people, with these certain institutions, with these certain spaces, which you think they want to see. Instead of, you know, possibly just saying, you know what, fuck it. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. It allows you to be free to create those moods, but then it also puts you in, you know, this structure of, okay, now I have to hang the show a certain way. Now I have to present these a certain way. Now I have to bring in the art market structure of selling this shit now. You know what I mean? How do I do that? I done stressed myself out of creating everything. Now I got to sell everything. You know, having to transition, you know, because you go from nonprofit teacher to artist creator to then businesswoman. Yeah. You know, probably multiple times a day.
Yes.
You know,
it's so fucking hard.
Yeah. And you know, and how do you deal with that?
That is what I try not to think about is the selling it and also what the galleries want, or like just what people want in general. Like now at this point, I thought about it before and I just don't care. Like I'm like, my time is gonna come when it needs to come, period. It's more about an inner battle with myself, you know? And then just transitioning with all those different, like wearing all these different hats. It's really hard, but that's why I want to go live in the forest. I feel like I'm building this thing up, and I am proud of myself for being all of these things and being like a businesswoman and being able to like teach and being, and I feel like I'm a good teacher that cares about their students. But it does affect me as an artist because I have to now schedule time, and that's not how our brains work, you know? Sometimes I'm driving to the school and I'm like, I really want to make this painting right now. Yeah. And I'm inspired right now. Yeah. But I have to go here and teach the kids, and I'm there and I'm happy when I'm teaching them, but then I'm tired when I get back. Home. You know? And I have to go in the studio, and then I have to get in my creative and like switch brain, like switch sides. It's a lot. It's the hardest thing is probably that, is having to switch from businesswoman, teacher to artist.
Do you find they cross a lot to where you're putting the businesswoman on the painting, the teacher on the artist, and the artist on the kids, you know, or vice versa, the businesswoman on the kids, to where now you're like, okay, kids, we can now sell these artwork. You know what I mean? To where now it all transitions because, you know, the trifecta of this creative person. Like, how do you manage that as an artist? Because I know, like, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I think I can. It's easier to be out of all things. The easiest to be is that I can switch to, at least, is businesswoman, because it's logical. Yeah. Everything is logic, you know? So everything that has emotion is a little bit harder to understand. So I could easily be in that businesswoman mode, but in order for me to transition from that, that's the hardest thing. And I can't put artists onto businesswoman because they would be thinking, they'd be looking at me like I'm crazy, you know? So with the kids though, I can do both. I can be teacher and artist because I am. And I want them to see me as an artist.
Yeah. How do you manage or you don't have to worry about this because you're an artist? How do you deal with that? Because I'm pretty sure people think you have the easiest job in the fucking world.
They think. But it's really the hardest stuff is all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, oh yeah, going to teach them is fun. That's that's fun. That's the funnest part. But I have to deal with people, adults, that try me all the time. And the pressure of like now having employees, you know, and like trusting people with the program. So in a way, like, I mean, I'm blessed. I thank God every day that I can do things that I love, and like even when I'm having a bad day, when I go to work, it makes it better. You know, I'm super blessed, and I've been trying to get to this point in my life for years, years, because I did have to do a lot of side projects, like
just to make it happen.
A lot of side projects until it could take off the way that it's doing now.
Do you feel that those side projects, I mean, of course they were in a sense necessary, but I guess my question is like, do you feel that the necessity of those jobs actually fueled that trifecta of a creative woman that you are? Do you think those side jobs fueled it?
Well, honestly, I feel like everything I've done in my life has led me to this.
Interesting. Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I was doing was like, because I went to school for graphic design, so it was like design jobs, which is still creative. Yeah, definitely. But you just have to do things that other people want you to do. So that part sucked. But it helped me with my design. I designed everything for myself, you know, like for the program and for my art, for my shows, everything. And then I was also teaching paint night, which helped me as an artist and as a teacher, because I had to paint all of these paintings. And it was stuff that I never would paint, but it helped me develop like my skill.
Got you. Okay. You know?
So I had a lot of jobs and then I was working for a nonprofit, like doing some website stuff, building websites for them. I built my own website for my art and for Artsy Kids. So it's like, but even working at Subway, even that, when I was 18, I worked at Subway and customer service, you know? I have to do that now. Like, everything just kind of leads up to
dealing with people. Like, that's front facing. Like, do you find that, or maybe, I guess the better question is, do you find that made it easier for you to go out with your networking and just go by yourself? Because, you know what, you just sat in front of Subway and you talked to 50 people today. Like, you don't give a fuck. What's 5 more? Like, you know what I mean? This is about art. I just got finished talking about sandwiches. You know what I mean? This is about art. Like, do you think that gave you confidence? Like, yo, like, I just got finished talking about a fucking sandwich. If I can't meet somebody about some art that I love, what am I actually really doing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I was working at Subway when I wasn't doing shit with my life. So.
Okay.
I was going down a very bad road. But I think that, and they made me wear, you know, that sandwich suit one time.
Oh,
that's when I was done. I was like, fuck you guys. I'm out of here. This is just, this is bad.
Wait, so did you have to wear the sandwich suit in the neighborhood where people knew you?
Yes.
Oh, shit, no. Oh, that's the worst.
But you couldn't see my face, so they didn't know.
They didn't know it was you? So everybody who's listening right now, it was Vanessa in the sandwich suit. I wish she would tell us the block, so y'all, whatever Instagram post or whatever y'all can find, it was her in the sandwich suit, y'all. So find that shit. Find it and DM me. I want to see it. I will post it.
It was the worst. I quit after that. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Y'all can't do this to me. This is just bad. But yeah, I mean, I've always been more of an introvert.
Yeah.
So it was very hard for me to just go. But I had to ask myself, like, how bad do you want this?
Yep.
How bad do you want it? It can't be that bad. Like, it can't. Going out by yourself can't be that scary.
Yeah.
And I always had fun. Like, it was scary walking in by myself.
Because, I mean, you have that thing where it's like,
yeah.
Is everybody, like, is it something on my shirt? Or is it like, you know what I mean? Is everybody looking at me? But then you got to realize that people don't give a fuck.
No, and they'll talk to you faster if you are by yourself.
That's interesting, too. Do you think it's because people find it less threatening?
Yeah.
But you're a lady, though. Like,
and that made it easier, too.
Yeah, I was like, people find women, you know, I mean, with the guy, it's just like, hey, you know, what do you think about this art piece? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird, like, for you just to be like, and unless people know that that's what you're about.
I kind of just started to study it, you know, and be like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to meet people. You need connections to be an artist. You need people to know that you're an artist. So I started hearing about shows. The first ones were the scariest because I didn't know anybody there. But then after that, I started seeing some of the same people I'd already met. And I always introduced myself as an artist. So they introduced me as an artist.
Yep.
So then I'm just, you know, seeing people that I know. And they're like introducing me to other people. And then I'm seeing those people. And then it just kind of like goes like, So
now that, you know, you've got a grasp of, you know, I guess phase one of what this art world or whatever could be, what do you expect the next level of your art career to entail?
That's a good question. Well, I continuously want to have solo shows. And that's Knowledge. You know Knowledge. Knowledge Bennett, that's one piece. Well, he gave me a lot of pieces of advice, but one of the main ones has been that is to just continue to have solo shows. So I kind of just focus on that, and I feel like things happen after that every time. So obviously I wanted to have more gallery shows. I want more people to see my work. I want people to start to collect my work more, and all of those things. But right now my focus is just getting to the next level of my own creativity. So that, again, when those opportunities do come, I'm ready for them. And like the work is there, and I don't have to just be anxious and about creating.
I feel that. Any art shows with the kids coming up?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do like a legit art show. At the end of the school year for sure. I was trying to do it last year for them, but working with schools, man, it is. Whew.
I'm sure it's a lot that goes into it.
Kids are easy. Adults are hard.
Kids, you know, they just want to have fun, you know, and maybe something to eat. You know what I mean? Like adults, like it's a whole lot of paper. A whole lot of people got to get their palms greased.
It's just too much.
It's just too much.
So now this year, I'm just like, if I'm gonna pay for it, I'm gonna pay for the show. We're gonna have a show. We're gonna figure out how to get everybody there, because it's even that, like figuring out buses for them and things like that. But it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be legit, like a full-on gallery show.
Give me 3 goals that you have for this year.
Okay, so one is that leveling up in my creativity, just figuring out what that next thing is, because it's like bubbling up inside of me. I just have to find it. Another solo show, and I really, really need to do an artist residency in another country.
That's important.
I need that really bad.
Any specific country?
Cuba would be great.
Cuba's very
Cuba,
dope.
Colombia, Brazil, any of those places.
Yeah.
So I've been looking into those and more grants,
Yeah. You need
like
the monies.
Yeah.
You need the monies to participate in art. I tell people that all the time. Like, the materials are the least of the worries. Everything around it, that's...
You're trying to fund your own show.
Yeah. And like I say, I'm Coming to America, that's when the big bucks start rolling in. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
So thank you, Vanessa, for being on Reality Talks. You know, it's long overdue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
It's an honor.
thank you so much for having me and allowing me to have you on the show. So it's been another episode of Reality Talks. Thank y'all for listening and check y'all later. Peace.